Hello there and a warm welcome to Superscreen's midday news broadcasting to you live from Lagos. I am Adinike Owoye Ajiboye. President Muhammadu Buhari has decried a looting of the nation's treasury by past administration, saying the looting was too much. The looters, according to the president, were so inept that they did not cover their tracks well. A statement by his special advisor, Media and Publicity, Femi Adesina, said the failure of some past administrations put the country where it is today. The president, who spoke in London while receiving the Buhari Diaspora Support Organization, led by Charles Sylvester, said his administration will justify the people's trust in it, but lamented that it is impossible to identify and recover all the loot. The White House says United States President Donald Trump will host President Muhammadu Buhari on April 30. The White House, in a statement, said President Buhari will meet President Trump at Washington to discuss issues including fighting terrorism and economic growth. President Trump looks forward to discussing ways to enhance strategic partnership and advance shared priorities. The relationship of the United States with Nigeria is deep and strong, and Nigeria's economic growth, security, and leadership in Africa is expected to advance a mutual prosperity. And now the African Land Forces Summit holds today in Abuja. The summit, which will be co-hosted by the United States of America, gathers top military chiefs from various African countries to discuss existing terrorism threats in the continent. The African Land Forces Summit brings together land force chiefs from across Africa for candid dialogue to improve security. The Senate President Bukola Saraki has called for united efforts by government security agencies, religious and community leaders to rescue the remaining 112 Chibok schoolgirls and the last adoptee girl, Lee Sharibo, from Boko Haram's captivity. Saraki, who disclosed this in a statement by his special advisor on media and publicity, Yusuf Olaniyonu, in Abuja, said even though 4 years had elapsed since the Chibok girls were kidnapped, it must not dampen efforts being made to rescue them and reunite them with their families and loved ones. The Senate President also called on parents to remain steadfast as government would never relent in its efforts to get their daughters back home safely. You will recall that President Muhammadu Buhari also reiterated his administration's commitment to the rescue of the abducted girls. And our Senate President again, Bukola Saraki, has reiterated his support for local government autonomy in the country. Saraki, who disclosed this in Abuja during a visit by the National Union of Local Government Employees, said the Senate will continue to work towards the realization of autonomous governance at the third tier of government.
It's an effort that we all have a role to play to see that how do we go about in seeing that the local government has been strengthened. Because in some local governments too, as much as we say that, we know that there are local governments, particularly in the area of support to primary school teachers, that if you even leave the local governments alone as they are, in some of these local governments too, they will not be able to function. So I think it's important to see how we ensure local governments are independent, local governments have autonomy, that the governors cannot interfere with what is due to local government. But there must still be, there has to still be a kind of cordial symbolic relationship. To just say that they should stay on their own, I think there are also disadvantages at that. And also at the same time too, there might be ways for which for us to look at how do we ensure that the local governments have adequate funding without interference that will make them be strong. And I think that is what we need to look at.
National President of the Union, Ibrahim Kale, lamented the poor treatment from local government administrations in the country and called for a change in status quo.
Local government
is essentially created to bridge gap in governance and democracy. And the truth of the matter is that today our local governments are completely rendered impotent. If you visit any local government council, with the exception of few who are in the cities, certainly you will not notice any presence of governance or any serious business of government taking place there. And this is not far from the huge interference and undue influence this tier of government has been suffering for a very long period of time.
National President of the Union, Ibrahim Khalil, speaking there. Now moving on, Senator representing Abia Central, Victor Ume, says Nigerians should not depend on former President Olusegun Obasanjo before selecting a candidate to vote for in 2019. The lawmaker, who disclosed this to journalists in Abuja, said the former president does not have the right to dictate who becomes the next president, as he did not lead by example when he was president of the country. Ume said the former president's third-term agenda brought so many ills to Nigeria, and he urged Nigerians to disregard his comments.
Those of us who served this country in political party leadership when Obasanjo was president, I was very critical of Obasanjo's presidency. I was, because there were too many things he did I, as a person, did not agree with. I didn't see him as somebody who worked to enthrone democracy in Nigeria. Rather, he sabotaged democracy. Under his watch, Nigeria didn't make any progress in having a decent democracy in terms of allowing people to vote for people of their choice, and then those votes are respected. Electoral banditry was of the highest proportion under Obasanjo's presidency. So if we are rating his stewardship, you can see that he failed in so many areas, and he also helped to institutionalize electoral corruption in Nigeria. That is the greatest disservice he did to this nation. We're very critical of that, knowing that when people elect somebody they want, then you change it and put in somebody who did not even take part in the election and force the person on the people. Is it not worse than economic corruption? Electoral corruption is worse than economic corruption, because through electoral corruption we bring bad leaders into governance, and when they get in, they don't think about the ordinary people. You know, anything goes. So his era was an era of anything went. So in 2019, I will advocate for the Nigerian people to use their votes to decide what they want.
Senator representing Abia Central, Victor Ume, faulting a former President Olusegun Obasanjo's call for a change in government. And meanwhile, former President Olusegun Obasanjo and a former Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Olufalaye, will on Tuesday meet at Obasanjo's Abeokuta residence with an agenda to unseat President Buhari in 2019. Falaye, who is the chairman of the Social Democratic Party SDP, and Obasanjo would strategize on how to bring all third force elements under one banner. A source who is privy to the meeting said since President Buhari had ignored all warnings by Obasanjo and other former generals not to seek a second term for the sake of the country, many of such political meetings would be taking place. The personal assistant to Olufalaye, Moshood Raji, confirmed the scheduled meeting with Obasanjo. The All Progressives Congress, APC, has constituted the 68th Committee National Convention. The list of the committee members was released by the party's National Secretariat in Abuja on Sunday. The list indicated that the governor of Jigawa State, Abubakar Badaru, will chair the committee, while the governor of Ondo State, Rotimi Akeredolu, will be his deputy. Senator Ben Uwajumogo was named a member and secretary. Also listed as members of the committee are 10 state governors: Rochas Okorocha, Kashim Shatima, Aminu Masari, Abiola Ajimobi, Ibrahim Gaidam, Yahaya Bello, and Godwin Obaseki. Nigeria Army 6th Division Port Harcourt has concluded the inter-brigade corporal and below competition hosted by the 6th Division Garrison. The competition, which is aimed at equipping with knowledge soldiers in the discharge of their duties, was concluded in Rivers State over the weekend. A college provost and director of studies, Joseph Akban, said the competition has improved competence and efficiency of the officers.
We just witnessed by troops from various formations and units a show of strength, tactics, and team spirit, which are the fundamentals of any armed forces around the world. It has also shown combat readiness and proficiency of the Nigerian Army at large and the troops of 6th Division Nigerian Army in particular. Also, I would like to use the privilege to enjoin the junior non-commissioned officers to keep the flag flying high as always and apply the prowess exhibited here today to their everyday life. Let me add that it's not only enough to be strong, you must be of good attitude.
Others who spoke highlighted the importance of the competition and the development of the Nigerian Army's officers.
I want to assure you that this is part and parcel of our training exercises for the year. It is in our training directive for the second quarter, and we have subsequent competitions that are coming. You have seen why you need to train, why you need to prepare. Like the MC said earlier on, for everything we do here is geared towards performance of our soldiers in the field. If you are doing obstacle crossing, it is not just for nothing that I want you to go and do obstacle crossing and we watch and laugh. No. We are preparing you for future tasks. And what is the future task of a soldier? To defend the territorial integrity of Nigeria.
Very interesting. I can see exceptional display of professionalism. Very strong. Watching this, you want to join again. Of course, you can't get enough attention, so you always want attention. So yes, they deserve much more attention, but they are doing very well. There's no doubt about it.
The competition, which included drilling, swimming, map reading, weapon handling, amongst others, saw the 6th Division Garrison emerging the overall winner. Edo State Governor Godwin Obaseki has declared a ban on grazing in some communities attacked by suspected herdsmen in the state. The governor's order came 48 hours after residents of Odigi community protested at the government house against the killing of a pastor by suspected herdsmen. The affected communities include Odigi and Odigwete in the Ovia, a northeast local government area of the state. Obaseki also ordered the arrest of any erring herdsman during the period of the ban, which he said would last for 90 days to enable the government identify those lawfully allowed to graze in the area so as to prevent further attacks. Still talking security matters, report says one police officer has been killed and 11 others are missing after gunmen opened fire on them in Benue State. The slain officer was riding with his colleague from Ayimbe in Ayilamo, both in local government area, when gunmen allegedly attacked them. Some officers who responded to the attack tried to go after the killers, only to run into a waiting ambush. 11 officers are still missing. A senior police officer at the area command headquarters in Katsina, Allah, told reporters that the command had received the news. And now, General Overseer of Mountain of Fire and the Miracles Ministries, MFM, Dr. Daniel Olukoya, has charged Christians in Nigeria to engage more in praises. Dr. Olukoya gave the charge at a musical concert organized by the church in Lagos. A Golf Hotel Lagos was agog on Sunday, February 18, 2018, as Mountain of Fire, MFM, hosts thousands of people in its annual musical concert tagged Mountain Top Mega Concert. The General Overseer, Dr. Daniel Olukoya, was quick to charge the crowd on the importance of the relationship between God and music.
If you see everything that human beings are enjoying, everything that we have now, all of them originated from this planet. The only thing that we participate in, that we do, that did not originate from this planet is music. Why? Music originated from God in heaven. So the creator of music is God and not the devil. If you read your Bible very well, by the time you get to the book of Job, you see how music started. And therefore you can safely say that music can be an indicator of how close or how far somebody is from God.
Different groups of gospel singers ministered to the delight of those present.
This is the ASAF choir of MFM. We've been preparing so fine. Everything has been going so well. Though it has been quite stressful and everything, but we thank God.
We are the Zion Praise Singer International. And we are so happy to be among the mega concert today. We are very, very happy.
Speaking with Superscreen television, these attendees and gospel artists commended the organizers of the program, describing the concert as a unique opportunity for gospel singers to showcase their talents.
We have been training many of them for several years in the church to get them to understand the way we want them to perform some of their concerts. That was also why I think in the last month, in December, we had this grand opening of a school where they can really focus on learning those things.
So this concert is a wedding concert. Will it be continuous?
It's continuous. In fact, this year we plan to have 2 more. Yes. And if possible, we might even have in Abuja, in Port Harcourt. We even have already some openings in Stratford.
It's about everyone that has something in them to find fulfillment. And for gospel artists, sometimes people with musical talent, sometimes we struggle in church because everything is concentration on prayer and the word. And then you don't really have opportunity for the music gifting to come out. Some churches will not even invest in music show the face of their gospel minister. It's just all about pastor. So this one is so awesome.
We have arrived to the point that we should be able to develop our talents for them to be able to compose songs that other ministries will use.
It is believed among Christians that prayer is the master key, but praises also plays a vital role to prayers being answered. It is therefore advisable that people engage in praising God. Like they say, when praises go up, blessings come down. Well, it is important to state here that that particular report is being rebroadcast to make some correction in terms of misrepresentation. Well, you're still watching Superscreen News at 12. We'll take a short break here, and when we return, we'll bring you business news. Do stay. Well, it's so glad to have you back now in the business world. A World Bank group, which begins its week-long yearly spring meetings today in Washington, has supported Nigeria with loans and International Development Association IDA credits worth about $14.2 billion since 1958. The group in the 2017 fiscal year committed $1.51 billion to the country. So far in 2018, it has already spent $486 million on different development projects across the country. The World Bank Group is also helping to fight poverty and improve living standards in the country through 33 core knowledge products reports and 29 ongoing national and regional projects. A Minister of Finance, Kemi Adeosun, Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN Governor Ogadrin Emefiele, are in Washington, D.C. to join other economic experts from around the world to discuss issues affecting global economy. Shareholders of Oando PLC have asked President Muhammadu Buhari to immediately sack the Minister of Finance, Kemi Adeosun, over her interference in the nation's capital markets. The National President of Trusted Shareholders Association of Nigeria, Mokta Makta, the National Coordinator, Proactive Shareholders Association, Taiwo Oderide, and the Coordinator of Oando Shareholders Solidarity Group, in a joint statement, accused the Minister of trying to shield Oando from being probed by the Securities and Exchange Commission. Oderide alleged that the forensic audit of Oando had been stalled due to interference by Adeosun to the detriment of Oando shareholders and the entire Nigerian capital markets. The Methodist Church of Nigeria, Metropolitan Diocese of Ikeja, has called on Governor Akinwumi Ambode of Lagos State to consider a downward review of the new land use charge. The church made the appeal in a communique at the end of its second annual synod at Elliott Memorial Methodist Church in Uju, Lagos. According to the church, the state needed to reduce the land use charge because the increase will have negative impact on the citizens. The church, however, congratulated Governor Ambode and his team on the giant strides being witnessed in the state, especially in infrastructural development. The church also urged the federal government to ensure the quick passage and implementation of the 2018 budgets. You're still watching Superscreen's Media News. I'll take another short break here, and when we return, we'll bring you news from the foreign scene and then sports.